आरम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां दयाकरं दान्तं धर्मप्रवर्तकं प्रणमामि दयानन्दं मदाचार्यवरं परम्। ॐ नमो भगवते वैवस्वताय मृत्यवे ब्रह्मविद्याचार्याय नचिकेतसे च। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै वधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। The next two verses have to do with Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana and its precursor. What is the precursor? Meditation. They do not produce the knowledge. Meditation is neither something that produces the knowledge, nor is what is called Nididhyasana, contemplation, something that makes you experience the knowledge. This penchant for experience has to be driven out, exorcised in the mind, which is possessed by this desire to experience Brahman. Because the knowledge of Brahman is not the same as the knowledge of discrete objects in the universe. With regard to discrete objects, one first knows that it is there, like Swarga, etc. And then what does that one do? One desires to go there, one does whatever is needed to do to go there, and then what happens over there? One experiences it. So you hear about something, and then the desire for this is born, and then you have to experience, and then only you know what it feels like, tastes like, etc. So this is how it is with the objects in the world. Everything in the world is like this. And then the experience itself has a starting point and an end point, and then and a small little middle point which is very ephemeral. That is why with regard to objects in the universe, the experience of objects in the universe, one is permanently discontent and dissatisfied. One keeps going from one thing to another, one person to another, one place to another, to get this experience of what? Some kind of contentment produced by the subject-object fusion. That is what an experience is. The experience of joy is a subject-object fusion which makes you experience that object in a discrete way, and then after that it is gone. The knowledge of Brahman is not like that at all. First, there are many dissimilarities. First of all, Brahman is not other than you. It is yourself alone. Second of all, the Brahman experience is happening all the time. Even the one who says, I am not experiencing Brahman, is what? Experiencing Brahman. This is what one has to understand. Because the perception, I am not experiencing anything called Brahman, is itself possible. Why? Because there is such a thing as Brahman, which is upholding the perception of non-experience of Brahman. You have to understand this. So that is the second thing. Third thing is that the Brahman experience has no beginning, no end. Always it is there. And in fact, if Brahman experience was not there, then you cannot experience any other thing. So Brahman is what? Anubhuti Swarupa. Brahman Atma Anubhuti Swarupa. It is in the form of the ever experienced, never absent I, because of which I become equipped, capable to experience other finite objects. So that leads us to the final point. So the Brahman being infinite cannot be a product of experience because it is you. That which is infinite does not have a starting date and expiry date of that particular experience. But we don't understand this because in the world the objects are experienced differently. So one becomes an object hog. And how are the objects experienced? Through the indriyas. Through the indriyas alone the objects are experienced, because I see the pot, I taste the food, I hear the music. This is how the objects are experienced. Brahman is not a product, first of all, of experience, and then Brahman is not available for the indriyas, for contact with the indriyas. Why? Because the indriyas themselves are non-separate from Brahman. And the indriyas being Brahman, they cannot be objectifying Brahman. Like we have heard the story of the mind and the speech going together to objectify Brahman and bring back Brahman. And then what did they bring back? A big headache. That's all. So this desire to experience Brahman has a very rampant and abiding presence in the spiritual world. Lot of so-called self-styled God men and God women will mislead, saying, I'll give you the experience of Brahman, come. And then it will be just some bluff, some kind of a bluff. That's all it will be. It will be finite, and then you ask them, have you experienced Brahman? Yes, yes. I have experienced Brahman, I'll give you. Then what is this experience? It's indescribable. Anyadeva tadviditat. They will quote from Kathopanishad. It's other than what is known. Oh, it's unknown. It's beyond the unknown. Those who know, know. Those who know, don't talk. Those who talk, don't know. And then they'll proceed to talk for 2 hours on that subject. We have to conclude from that what? That they don't know. So like this, even the people who haven't, even the people who are so-called inward looking, and they style themselves as teachers and whatnot, they also are experience hunters. They also mislead. Therefore parampara, therefore tradition, therefore Adi Shankara. Therefore the lineage matters a lot here, because otherwise we will be bringing the same pravritti, the same tendency which we have outside in the world to the inner quest as well. And so therefore the next so many verses are going, the next so many mantras are going to first of all show us that the Brahman is not an object of experience, because it is the ever experienced reality as I, the self-luminous I, the self-evident I that never shuts up, is never absent. And since that I is myself, it is constantly experienced. We are not shy of experience. What are we shy of? Knowledge. So the idea is that from the outer quest of finite experiences, we come to the inner quest of what? Understanding the truth of the experiencer, the truth of the object of experience, and the truth of the means of experience, seeing that all of these 3 are Brahman. Brahman is not any one of them. So the next 4 verses are going to focus on this. The 2 of them, the first 2 of them, are going to talk about the importance of inward sadhana and such as nididhyasana, such as dhyana. And why is that important? To cut the cord between the indriyas and experience, and then think that Brahman also is some kind of an experience. First, before one came into the ashram, what was one doing? Looking on the hunt for outer experiences. Then after coming to the ashram, what is one doing? Looking for inner experiences, some kind of a mystic experience which cannot be explained at all. Oh, I had this fantastic experience. Some mystic experiences will take place, and then what happens? Comes and goes, and the person is as miserable as they were before they had this experience. There is no change. This is one more final thing we need to know about experience. No matter how profound or godly the experience is, and we don't deny that there can be spiritual experiences, godly experiences, but no matter how profound, if it is not accompanied by the knowledge that this is non-separate from me, the experience cannot transform except for a little while you are having the experience. And after that, what? The experience comes in the form of your mental album. Oh, I was so happy there at that time, wonderful, like this. So therefore, the first two verses that we are going to study have to do with dhyana / nididhyasana and its purpose and why we need it. And the second two verses have to do with exorcising this desire for experience, this addiction to experience, and understanding Brahman as the truth of the experiencer, experienced, and the means of experience. So with these words, let us go to the first verse. First of these 4 verses. सा हृन्मनीट् कथं प्राप्यते इति तदर्थः योगः उच्यते. Yeah. So, how is this gained? What was talked about before? How is that gained? Etad ye viduhu amritaha bhavanti. So how is it gained? Because it is nirvishesha, it is nirvikara, it is nirguna. Still it is known with the help of the buddhi alone. How come it is gained by the buddhi? In other words, what should the buddhi be like in order to gain this knowledge, which is not available for the indriyas, etc. And so what should this manit, this buddhi, how does it gain this knowledge? Because we saw yesterday that the buddhi is a place for gaining the knowledge, and the buddhi is not an agent of the knowledge. So now these mantras, the next 2 mantras we are going to study, is taking the agency status away from the buddhi. Because the buddhi thinks I am what? Pot jnata, knower of pot, knower of lid, knower of room, knower of fan, knower of light. I am knower. I am the mover. I am the shaker. I am the doer. And this is what is the cause of what? Happiness? No, not at all. It's the cause of sad sorrow. And so, guilt and hurt. One is mired in guilt and hurt. So, this is the orientation of the buddhi, and buddhi going inwards means what? It is made to shake off the agency. It's holding on to the status, karta, bhokta, like this, and slowly with the help of meditation, it is pried open one by one, and the thought, I am an agent, drops. And with the other hand, it is holding on to, I am bhokta, I am the victim. That is also dropped, made to dropped by preparing the buddhi to be a receptacle, not the agent, not the victim. And that is why the meditation is very, very important. Yada panchavatishtante jnanani manasa saha buddhischa na vicheshtati tamahuh paramangatim. So, Manishinaha means who are the people who already know this. What do they say? Ahuhu. They say tam means this condition of the mind which we are about to see, paramam gatim ahuhu. They say this to be the highest achievement in Vedanta, to be able to understand and train the mind from being an active agent and the producer of knowledge to be a quiet recipient and a receptacle where the knowledge happens, and to be able to be in a place of service rather than the agent. Agency creates havoc because this is not an object to be grasped, as we have seen. So, this is something, the knowledge that I am non-separate from this entire Jagat and its maker, that happens in the mind but not by the mind, that happens in the buddhi but not by the buddhi, and the buddhi that is used to claiming agency and claiming credit for being the knower has to be brought to its knees, has to be made to do namaskara. First you have to oust the buddhi and the mind from the throne, sitting along with the ahankara. Ahankara is the king and buddhi is one minister, manaha is another minister, and here they are the cabinet, all of them. We have to have an internal coup. Vedanta Shastra is an internal coup that ousts them from the throne. I am the knower, yes, I am the doer, I am the shaker, I am the mover, I am guilty, I am hurty. This is what will happen. So you oust them from being on the throne of agency and victimhood, etc., karta bhokta status, and then what? Then they cannot be without this knowledge, because ahankara also is yearning for the knowledge, buddhi also is tired of getting sad, mind is also tired of getting sad. So they keep knocking on the door, even though you have pushed them out and closed the door of the antahkarana. They keep knocking, let me in, let us in. And you show them the back door. Now what is the back door? Servant entrance, yes. You show them the back door. And from the back door you come and sit. You tell them, sit in the back. Come from the back door. If you come from the back door, you are not ready to be the ruler. What are you ready to be? Bhritya, bhataha, servant. You are in service of this knowledge. You are not the shaker, mover and the architect of this knowledge. And so the buddhi has to come with folded hands, the mind has to be on its knees, and the ahankara has to do sashtanga namaskara, and then only the knowledge will take place. So, how to bring the buddhi, manaha, ahankara, in other words, the antahkarana on its knees is given in this mantra. Saying, what is that? Yada, when, means at which time, pancha avatishtante. Pancha jnanani avatishtante. Jnanani, jnanendriyani. Jnanani is the upalakshana for the sense organs. The sense organs are called jnana. Why are the sense organs called jnana? Because they give knowledge. Because they have that status, I am the knower. Aham jnata iti, afterwards they claim. That's why it is called jnana, short for jnanendriyani, jnanani, along with the mind. Manasa saha. And then manasa saha means we have to bring in ahankara also. Ahankara and chittam are left out. That is, all these are there, sense organs, mind and buddhi is there. What is left out is the one who claims all of these to be in its service, the ahankara, chittam, the emoting one, the faculty of emotions, that we have to bring in because they are not mentioned. Everything else is mentioned. So, yada pancha jnanendriyani manasa saha avatishtante. Avatishtante means they are in a restful state, non-moving, restful, contented state. Where are they? Where are they? Where are they abiding? Atmani. Atmani means in the self. This itself can cause confusion. We will see what Adi Shankara says. He will explain that. So, Atmani means the Atma alone is, and all these are what? Mithya bhuta jnanendriyani, mithya bhutam manaha, mithya bhuta buddhihi iti. In this knowledge, they rest peacefully. And also in the meditation, what do we tell ourselves? I don't need to do anything. Right now, there is nothing to be done. There is nothing to know. So that gives the cue to the five sense organs to shut up and calm down. And then we do something called Shabda Anuviddha Savikalpa Samadhi. Meaning you hear these temple bells, and instead of seeing them as a disturbance, you go along with that and see what makes the ear hear. And what is the answer? Say Atma for everything, okay? You won't be wrong. Yeah. What is it that makes the ears hear? Atma. What is it that made the mind go there to the bells? Atma. What is it that brought this knowledge of the bell back? Atma. What is it that is registering the knowledge of the conch shells and the bells as a pleasant sound? Atma. So that means what? I have resolved the sense organs here and the mind and the buddhi where? Into their truth, which is Atma. That is how it is resolved. So, and then what happens is that it resolves for a little bit. And then what? Some other sound comes, and then again I forget, or some other thought comes. Did I lock my room? What should I do next? Who is coming now? When should I pack with three classes, six classes a day? When can I pack? And when can I go and see in Rishikesh all the things I have not seen because I am leaving? When will that happen? And then what do you do again? You bring that back. You bring back the thought to resolve in what? The place from which the thought arose, the place in which, because of which the thought is being sustained, and the place into which the thought will eventually die, because it is kshanika. Born is gone. That is the status of vritti, thought. Gone, born is. Born is gone. Is born gone. This is what the thought is. All the permutations you can tell. And so, how can you say it's gone? Where did it go? That is Atma. Oh, the thought came. Where did it come from? What was there before? There must have been something before, from which the thought arose, by which the thought is sustained, unto which the thought collapses. There must have been something. What is that thing? And the answer, you have to write it down, tattoo it on our foreheads. What is that? Atma. That's what it is. So, tishtante means kutra avatishtante? Atmani. That in the understanding that the truth of all these is Atma, these are all mithya bhutaha, these are all that Atma. When I make it a point of resolving everything repeatedly, and buddhischa na vicheshtati, and then manaha also na vicheshtate. So it doesn't waver. It doesn't flit from one thought to another. Because with this practice, what happens? The buddhi, the manaha, everything just resolves. So, a caveat here, meditation is not the absence of thoughts. Contemplation is not the absence of thoughts, because absence of thoughts you can master, and then it is opposed to the presence of thoughts. So here is what we are understanding is the silence in spite of thoughts. The thoughts are not opposed to the stillness. The thoughts are not opposed to the silence. The sounds I hear are not opposed to the silence. This is what we do in nididhyasana and in the dhyana. This is what we have to do. Because otherwise we look for a special silence. We look for a special sound. And if Atma is special silence, when that silence bhanga, when that silence goes away, then what are we left with? Anatma. Then when that special silence goes away, then Atma also goes away, because Atma becomes dependent on that special condition of the mind. Atma is not subject to the condition of the mind. This, in order to understand, we have to be able to repeatedly go back to the I. Atma means I. The I that is sustaining the buddhi, the I that is sustaining the manaha, and the buddhi manaha are what? Mithya bhuta. They are mithya, and so the I that is sustaining all of them has to be understood, has to be abided in. That is what is called meditation. That is what is called abidance. And that is what is called parama gatihi. So tamahuhu parama gatihi. And then what else? Yada यस्मिन् काले स्वविषयेभ्यः निवर्तितानि आत्मनि एव पञ्चज्ञानानि ज्ञानार्थत्वात् श्रोत्रादीनि इन्द्रियाणि ज्ञानानि uchyante. So yada yasmin kale. Yasmin kale means at which time. It's not a particular time, but it's the phala of this practice. The phala of the practice of nididhyasana and meditation is swarupe avasthanam, as the Yoga Sutra says. Swarupe avasthanam means abidance in one's own reality, in one's own nature. And what is one's own nature? Sat Chit Ananda. Atma is one's own nature, abiding in the Nirvikalpa Atma, in the Atma that is completely without any known or known distinction. Abiding in that doesn't mean that the buddhi cannot be active, but in spite of the activity of the buddhi, I know that this is just a drama. And what am I? Rama. This I know. This I know, and then I can go about the drama of life just like Rama did. When Sita was abducted, what did he do? He hugged every tree and cried, "Have you seen Sita? Ha Sita, ha Sita." He kept saying, crying and hugging every tree and looking for her everywhere. He would see something and confuse it to be Sita. And then he would understand, okay, this is not Sita. What is this? This is another slender tree, and which I mistook for Sita. Then he would see something and say, okay, this must be Sita sitting down. No, it is not. It is some other shape of a rock. Like this, he saw Sita everywhere, even though he is what? Bhagavan. So this Bhagavan, why did he suddenly become ignorant? Why is he acting like an ignorant man? Going about hugging trees and crying loudly, even though he knows that Sita is not lost, he knows that Sita is always with him, and Sita is himself alone, Sita is Shanti, and he knows that. Then why is he crying? He is crying because in this avatara he is what? A king. He is playing the role even while inwardly knowing that he is free of that role. So similarly here also, it's not the absence of thought, absence of movement, absence of noise. No. It is in the presence of all this. I understand I am nirvikalpa. In and through the vikalpa, I am able to do swarupe avasthanam. And that is the idea in the first line itself given. So yasmin kale means it's not just happening once. That you have done nididhyasana now 10 times. And then 11th time, aha, it is perfected. No. Gradual clarity, gradual abidance. The more I don't have Vishaya Shakti, it is connected to the non-meditating state. In the non-meditating state, the more I can enjoy freedom from the addiction to objects, the easier it becomes in the meditative state to keep them away. To not become under their influence, to not come under their influence, it becomes really much more easy. So there is a concomitant relationship between the non-meditating state and the meditating state. So the meditation is enriched by my Viveka Vairagya in the non-meditating state, and the non-meditating state is further enriched. There is a mutual pathway by understanding, the understanding that comes in the meditative state that I really don't need anything to be myself. I don't need anything. I am not dependent on anything. That kind of a understanding comes. So the non-meditating state and the meditating state are intimately connected, and in their connection what happens is that there is a gradual growth. The more the raga dveshas are shed in the non-meditative state, in the meditative state, the abidance in the I, in the nididhyasana, becomes easier. That is the idea. So yasmin kale, don't think of some time. There are some gurus who celebrate Enlightenment Day. This is the time. What is the date today? 14th April. Yes, Tamil New Year. 14th April, Tamil New Year is the day I got what? Enlightened. And they'll put the time also. 7:06. I got enlightened. Then what will happen if you put a time for the enlightenment? Then that means what? That means time is greater than Atma. If Atma can be measured in time, if the knowledge of Atma can be measured in time, that means what? Time is Atma is the servant of time. Comes, and enlightenment is not something that is an event that happens to the self. It is not something that is time bound. And so what is the self? The self is the canvas upon which all events take place, including time and space. Time is itself an event for whom? Mrityuhu upasechanam yasya. We saw that earlier. Kaitha veda yasya saha. So Mrityuhu, death means what? Time. Time is itself something to be swallowed up, not even as a main dish, as a side dish, little pickle, to just touch. Time is swallowed up by whom? That is what is talking about. So enlightenment is not something that happens in time. So yasmin kale means by which practice over time one learns to abide more and more in the Atma. Yasmin Kale, and what happens in this Kala? Sva Vishayebhyah Nivartitani Panchendriyani. So Swa Vishayebhyah, from their respective addictions, from their respective objects. Sight from the objects of sight from the eyes, sounds from the ears, aromas from the olfactory nerves, the nostrils, like that. Respectively, Swasva Vishayebhyah, from their objects of Vyapara, from their objects of operation, what happens to the Indriyas? They take retirement. They take enforced retirement in sleep. They take voluntary retirement in what? Meditation, Nididhyasana. In Nididhyasana, they take voluntary retirement. There is such a scheme called voluntary retirement. And the employers are very happy when you do that. They say, oh good, we don't have to, we can hire 2 people instead of you and pay them half of your salary and get double the work done. They are very happy when you take voluntary retirement. Who else is happy? Atma is also happy when you take voluntary retirement. Atma is also very, very happy. Why is the Atma very happy? The Atma is very happy because it doesn't have to, Atma here means Brahman, Ishvara. Ishvara is very happy when you get self-knowledge, because Ishvara doesn't have to deal with you. Ishvara doesn't have to deal with you. Ishvara can close the file of you as Jiva because you are no more Jiva. File closed. You don't have to worry about this person. Case closed, which is very nice. So, Yada, all these jnanani they are called, we are going to be told now, jnana arthatvat. Jnana arthatvat means because they objectify the knowledge of the objects. Because they bring to light the knowledge of the objects, they are called knowledge. Because they are the source of knowledge of what? Objects. And so that's why they are called knowledge. So jnanarthatvat shrotradini indriyani jnanani iti uchyante. So avatishtante saha manasa yadanugatani. Avatishtante samanasa yat anugatani. Anugatani means the mind also obliges. So the mind obliges because the buddhi has got the samarthya. The buddhi, we'll see that later, when the buddhi is strong, the buddhi keeps the mind in check. And the mind does what? In turn keeps the indriyas in check. This is the hierarchy. We have seen that in the Rathakalpana, have we not? Yes. So here the mind is the first order, and the mind cannot go rogue and say, come on, this meditation is boring. And you are doing it day after day after day. What's wrong with you? You are a big contemplator, a contemplative person. So boring. Look at the world. So many things are there. Come on, eyes, come on, ears, stop meditating. Then what? Nididhyasana won't happen, and swasva vishayebhyah nivartanam, the retreat from objects cannot happen if the mind does not cooperate. So saha manasa saha, because the manas is the boss of the indriyas, so the boss also has to be convinced. So it's like when they do, labor management dispute negotiations, who do they have to? So they will have to talk to all the people. The CEO will come and give a stirring speech. We are going through hard times. We cannot raise the salary right now for all of you. But soon we will do that. We will make it a first priority. We will take a pay cut and give you. They can shout out from the rooftops to the labor, But the labor will not listen until the union leader is called into the meeting and told the same thing, and that person will go and convince all the laborers, then they will stop the strike and come back to work. Same thing here. Until the manaha is held, no point in holding the indriyas. The manaha is famous as what? Sankalpa vikalpatmakam manaha. Dilly dally. Delhi doesn't mean New Delhi, okay? Yeah. So dilly dally. Now here, now there. Everything sounds good to the mind. So how about we go on a picnic? Oh, that sounds good. How about we do this instead? Oh, that sounds good. How about we go for a boat ride, river rafting? Oh, that sounds even better. That also sounds good. How about we go shopping? That sounds good. Everything except the study of Vedanta sounds good to the mind because it doesn't have discrimination. And it's under the hands of the wrong, it's under the hands of the wrong boss. What is the it? The jnanendriyani, the wrong boss. Why? Because the boss itself cannot control himself, herself. What will he or she do to the people who they are supposed to take care of? They are supposed to mind. And so therefore, we have to contact the boss of the boss. Who is the boss of the boss here? Buddhi is the boss of the boss. And so therefore, then manasasaha yad anugatani. So yad anugatani means which the various indriyas follow. Tena sankalpadi vyavrittena antahkaranena. Yeah. So when the sense organs don't go to the Vishayas, then the mind also is trained. The mind is also trained from all its sankalpa vikalpa. Because this is what we do in the meditation. Watch the body and then watch the sense organs and then watch the mind. Watch the mind to say every thought is welcome. Welcome to come, welcome to go. I am not the thought, I am the watcher of the thought. So we disconnect ourselves from the mind strategically to observe the mind. And in the observance of the mind quietens. So that is what is said. So then the buddhi is also quiet, the mind is also quiet, and then what happens? Buddhischa adhyavasaya lakshana na vicheshtati svavyapareshu na vicheshtate na vyapriyate tamahuhu paramam gatim. Yeah. Buddhischa. Now we go to the boss of the boss. The boss of the mind is the buddhi. And what is the buddhi? Adhyavasaya lakshana. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi. V plus avasaya, vyavasaya. That avasaya here means nishchaya. Nirdharana shakti belongs to buddhi. The power of ascertainment. What is there to ascertain right now? What should we ascertain? That this practice is good for me. That ascertainment, buddhi, when it does, the mind goes, shh, okay, big boss has said, be quiet. Pretend to meditate. Even if I am not meditating and looking out with one eye, pretend to meditate. Come back. And then the mind will scold the sense organs. Told you not to go out there with this thought. Come back. Because the buddhi is in the right place. That which has nirdharana shakti overpowers that which has what? Sankalpa vikalpa. But I don't think I have buddhi. Where did it go? To say I don't have buddhi, what do you require? Where did it go? No, I only have sankalpa vikalpa. I'm constantly going sankalpa, vikalpa. There is no buddhi. It's like the person who is doing yoga in the beginning. In the beginning, the yoga teacher will say, engage the core. What core? I don't have a core. Yeah. I don't have a core. Because the stomach is just not for eating. The stomach and abdomen. There are muscles there that you didn't even know that they were there. Okay. They were all hanging out. Yes. They were all hanging out because they thought we don't have any job. Yeah. It's just eating, drinking. We are just hanging out. And in the yoga class, they meet their match. The yoga teacher says, engage the core. And what do you say? I don't have a core. There is no core. Yes. There is absolutely no core. Lift up the abdominal muscle. I can't. I don't know how. So, the one who is in the spell of sankalpa vikalpa likewise thinks there is no buddhi. I am forever wedded to this fate of constantly going back and forth. Buddhi is there, just like the core is there. Engage the core, engage the buddhi. How to find the buddhi? Just like you found the core? Yeah. After a few yoga classes, you know how to lift up the abdomen. That which was content being flabby now is under training. Similarly, the flabby buddhi. Buddhi also is flabby because it's not being used. Anything that's not used goes to waste. And then you feel like it's not there. It is there. And so what do I have to do? Find it, use it. How to use it? Make a decision, stick to it. And here the decision is what? I am not going to get up for this much of time. No, but there are things to do. Shut up, you tell the mind. Shut up. The sankalpa vikalpa gets overpowered by the buddhi, which is what we want. And then what happens? Let us see. Then what happens? Avasaya lakshana na vicheshtati. Vicheshtate is the Atmanepada, so he corrects it. It is actually Chandasam. He tells us, he shows us, he knows his grammar. So what? Svavyapareshu na vicheshtate. The buddhi also is not busy ascertaining what is a good day to go here, what is a good day to go there. The buddhi vyapara also calms down, and so now they are all on the same program. And this all goes back to the Sarathi example, the Ratha Kalpana. So, Vijnanavan Sarathihi yastu manaf pragrahavan naraha. Then Sodhvanaf paramapnoti Yad Vishnoho Paramam Padam. Which chapter of Bhagavad Gita? Yeah, because everybody is looking blank. Okay. Now, Vijnanavan Sarathi. Sarathi is Buddhi. Vijnanavan, nicely trained. Manaha Pragrahavan. The mind is also trained. It's holding on to what? The Indriyas. Pragrahavan Naraha. Saha Adhvanaf Pada, the road of Dharma. The road is the road of Dharma, upon which the straight, right royal road of Dharma, the chariot goes on. Adhvanaf Param Apnoti. Adhvanaf Param is the other side of the road. What is the other side of the road? Vishnu's lodgings. No. Yad Vishnoho Paramam Padam. It's not Vishnu's lodgings. It is Atma. Atma is known as Vishnu because it is all pervasive. All pervasive Atma alone here is seen as Vishnu. So Tad Vishnoho Paramam Gatam. And same thing is said here as an internal practice. There it was an external practice during the regular non-meditating state. Here it's the meditative practice whose phala is the same, paramang gatihi. It is all in the service of this knowledge. Then next mantra. Tam yogamiti manyante sthiram indriyadharanam apramattastada bhavati yogo hi prabhavapyayau. Yeah. Tam indriyadharanam yogam iti manyante. Ke manyante, same people as before. Manishinaha, the wise ones, manyante, consider, say. What do they say? They say this to be the practice of yoga. What is really speaking yoga? Indriya dharanam. The ability to hold on to the sense organs without letting them fly around everywhere in the land of the sense objects, dragging the mind, dragging the buddhi along with them. That is called yoga. Yoga means what? Yujir, yoge. That is there are three meanings of the word yoga, but then three root verbs that form the ganj pratyaya, the masculine pratyaya called yoga. All of them end up in yoga. So one is restraint. Yogaschitta vritti nirodha. In that sense it is restraint. And then the other one is discipline. And the third one is union. So here which one applies? Union. Tam yogam iti manyante. Because we are talking of coming together. The mind, the body, the sense organs, the buddhi, all of them are held together. And then what happens in nididhyasana? The subject object is all seen as Atma alone. So here we are using the word yoga not in the sense of discipline. You could use that if you are talking about meditation and not nididhyasana. If you take this verse as meditation, you could take it as discipline. We will apply that and see later. But for now, let us take it as union. So tam yogam, tam indriya dharana, the practice of dharana, the holding the mind and the buddhi and along with the indriyas steady is called yoga, because it leads to yoga. That's why it's called yoga. It leads to union of what? The subject, object, jiva, ishvara, all this. So therefore, since it leads to the union indirectly, it leads to the understanding of the fact that I am never separate from ishvara. It is called yoga, union. Sthiram, sthiram means steadily holding indriya dharana. Tam yogam iti manyante. So this union is actually a separation. What? The union is a separation. So yoga is really viyoga. How can viyoga means separation? How can yoga be viyoga? Because in order for this union, what has to happen? Viyoga from the objects, correct? Viyoga from the sense organs which are connected to the sense objects, viyoga first from the objects, and the understanding that this manaha, buddhi and indriyani, what are they? They are separate from me. Indriyanam prithak bhavam. Just look at one or two verses earlier. That prithak bhavam means I am separating myself from being attached to the indriyas. Is that yoga or viyoga? Viyoga. In a beautiful twist, yoga, union becomes what? Viyoga from all the other connections and all the other oneness with anatma. The separation of oneness with anatma, the tearing away of oneself from all identifications with the anatma is called yoga. Very beautiful. And this is exactly what is described in the 22nd or so verse in the 6th chapter. Tam vidyat dukkha samyoga viyogam yoga samyitam sanishchayena yoktavyaha yogo nirvinna chetasa. This exactly the same thing is described. Very, very beautiful. Which number it is? 22, 23? 23? Yeah. So, 23rd verse in the 6th. Tam vidyat. Know that to be called yoga. Tam vidyat yoga samgitam vidyat. Tam means that condition, that reality attained in the meditation, contemplation, because the 6th chapter is all about dhyana, meditation, contemplation. So, tam vidyat what? Yogam iti vidyat. And what is this yoga? Dukkha samyoga viyoga yoga. Dukkha samyoga, association with sorrow. Association with sorrow is yoga? No. Dissociation from association with sorrow is yoga. Union. Union is separation from association with sorrow. Separation from union with sorrow is union with Bhagavan, who is never sorry, never sorrow. That is the idea. Very beautiful. Extremely lovely. We will see more of that in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.